Welcome to Amplified with Amanda Sapp, where we spotlight visionary leaders, creators, and change makers who are building purpose and leaving impact. Today's conversation is for every entrepreneur who has the ideas, the calling, and the faith, but needs clarity on how to execute it all. If you've ever felt stuck between inspiration and implementation, this episode is for you. Joining us today is someone who is an award winning brand strategist and CEO of TLJ Agency, a firm celebrating nearly 14 years of helping visionaries turn big ideas into powerful legacies. She is the founder of Execution Nation, a community created to close the gap between ideas and action, and the host of Execution Con, where leaders learn how to move with clarity, confidence, and consistency. Known as a blueprinter, she helps entrepreneurs and CEOs build faith-aligned, sustainable businesses, not just brands that look good, but empires that last. She's here to show us that execution isn't optional; it's the assignment. Tiara Johnson, welcome to Amplify with Amanda Sapp.
Hi, so excited to be here.
Glad to have you on here with me today. Now, I've always seen you as someone who is a mover, a shaker, galvanizer. You always bring people together. You always do it with such a classy touch. For someone who is just hearing about you for the very first time, tell us a little bit more about you.
Okay, yes. Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. Again, I'm Tiara LaRae Johnson. I'm the CEO of TLJ Agency, and I have been doing this for the last 14 years. I actually started my business on the campus of Georgia State University. I was 21 years old. I was leading some fashion shows on campus, and one day we had 1,700 people show up to a venue was only for 500 people, and we was being live streamed in 8 different countries. And then it got shut down, and I had basically felt like that was my life's work at 21 years old, and I was just devastated. I had also was in a class called communication law, which is one of the hardest classes in my major. I failed the class that semester. Just a lot of things went wrong, but the one thing that went right is that I was like, hey, if I'm going to work this hard for anybody, it's going to be for myself. And I've always had a passion for entrepreneurship since the 5th grade. And also my mom, that's one of the prayers she prayed over me, was that I would become an entrepreneur and be my own businesswoman. And so, so me doing that fashion show just sparked me doing TLJ Agency because I was devastated. It was like my college portfolio. But then after that, I became the president of that organization. And I was able to launch TLJ Agency March 8th, 2012 in Atlanta, Georgia at Fly Kicks on Peter Street, which is one of the hottest boutiques at the time. And so, yes, I just been expanding and learning and growing and moving from there until now.
You know, it's so funny that you mentioned about being 21 and thinking your life is over, your life work's done.
Right.
You had sort of your own little pandemic, I would say, even at that time. What inspired you to jump out of yourself at 22 and say, you know, I can move forward. Everything is okay. Life isn't over.
Yeah, so fortunately for me, I was able to see Black excellence in entrepreneurship in real time. When I was 13, I joined an organization. My parents took me to Southwest Atlanta Youth Business Organization. And I was like, what is this? Like, where am I going to? I'm 13. Like, I want to go home, Disney Channel, whatever I wanted to do at that time. But they took me, and they were always putting me in different programs. And now I'm grateful for them because I was able to be confident, because some of the rooms they put me in when I was younger, I never knew anybody. I would just walk in there. These people didn't go to my school or nothing like that. So I had to learn how to adjust in different environments. And I also think that's what allows me today to go into rooms and network and not be afraid and talk to new people. And so my parents dropped me off at this thing, and I met this guy. His name was Ed Menifee. And he was just like, he called me superstar. And he was just like, I'm going to teach you things that you need to know about business. At the time, he was a consultant and he was working with Atlanta Business League. But to see a Black person successful in being a consultant in like the entertainment and music industry, he wasn't a rapper, he wasn't a lawyer, he was, you know what I'm saying? He was an entrepreneur in a business consultant space. And so he was just like, if you take care of business, business will take care of you, and hard work yields rewards. He taught us net profit and loss and so many things at that age. He was like, you always got to have money in your pocket. He was like, we used to sell apples And he was just like, if you could sell an apple on the street, you could sell anything. And so he really just changed the trajectory of my life because he made me realize that it was possible to be an entrepreneur.
Love that. I love that. Now, speaking of entrepreneur, you often say that the biggest gap for entrepreneurs isn't ideas, it's execution.
Right.
What made you realize that truth in your own journey?
Well, I always just was able to do things. It wasn't until I started to get older when I realized that people really have a hard time doing what they're called to do or what's in front of them. And I really never understood that because it's not really anything stopping us. I can't tell you, like, my aha moment was probably 2017 officially. Like, I've been helping people with their dreams and goals, but my grandmother was in hospice, and when she was laying there, I just kept thinking, like, I know that there's so much that she didn't do or didn't tap into, and it was bothering me. And I was just like, I don't want to come to the end of my life and I don't do everything that God has called me to do. And then I was just like, it's other people that I know that's around me, like, that don't do what they're supposed to do or have an idea. And I honestly just get tired of people saying, like, oh, I'm gonna do it next year, and Tiara, I got this big idea, I'm coming, I'm gonna do it one day. Like, that actually bothers me because every day is not promised, you know. And so step one for me in execution is just like, I just be tired of hearing myself say I want to do something and don't do it. You know, so I wanted to be like, hey, you know, just remind people to just do what they say they're gonna do. That's step one.
Now, many people feel overwhelmed once the vision is clear.
Yeah.
What's one practical shift someone can make to start executing immediately?
Actionable to-do list. You know what I'm saying? Like, tangible items on that list. Of course, I want to be a millionaire, right? You know, that's always the goal, to make millions and billions. But what's tangible for me in the moment that I can do day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year to help me to get to that goal. You know, we launch a business and say, okay, I'm getting a logo, I'm having a launch party, I'm doing all these things, spend all this money. And then we have this launch event and we just like, oh, the money's not coming to me. But you didn't even know if the product is working. Like, before I got my LLC, I made sure that the business can work. You know, that's what they talk about in the lean startup book. Like, hey, you know, you want to make sure the business works before you invest in different things. And that's just my process. I think that's an amazing thing. You know, a lot of people just like, okay, oh my God, I made one post on social media, I didn't go viral. They're discouraged. It's this consistency in the idea. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I would have gave up 10 years ago, I wouldn't be here 14 years from now. And now I have a team and now I want to expand. But a lot of people just give up because one thing doesn't go right.
I think sometimes we spend so much energy on the concept, and like you mentioned earlier about the execution, and by the time it's time to execute, you're tired. So that's when the overwhelm comes into play. But I do love the idea of the actionable steps, and they say, how do you bite an elephant one bite at a time, or how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Whatever. I don't know why you would be eating elephants, but
I mean, you're gonna get tired in anything you do, though. Like, you're gonna go to work and work a job from 9 to 5. You're gonna be tired. You know what I'm saying? So it's you choose your battle. You want to be tired doing what you love and what you're passionate about, or you want to be tired doing what somebody else loves.
Let's talk a little bit about collaboration.
Okay.
As leaders grow, collaborations become essential. How do you know when it's time to stop doing everything yourself and start building a team?
I think that when you get to a point where you have a system to be duplicated is when it's time for you to hire or to collaborate with something else. I think that in collaboration, a lot of times it doesn't go right because everybody isn't bringing what they should be bringing to the table. And so when you collaborate, and even with our partners, because we built Girl Boss Suites, which is my women in business platform, on collaboration and networking. The thing about it is that as women, sometimes, you know, people say, oh, you know, people might feel some type of way, or, you know, different things as being women in business. But before I do an event or bring anybody together, I say, hey, we here for one purpose. And that the number one purpose is we're believers. We want to serve and please God. Number two, we're here because we want to make money, or we want to make an impact or a difference. And so I always put that out there. And if those two things don't align, then I don't work with those people. I'm very clear on, my work style too. I'm a texter, I'm an emailer, I'm a caller, I'm all those different things. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I might get right back to you, sometimes I'm not. I'm very clear and open and honest with my communication styles and how I work. And I think a lot of times people too aren't upfront about how they work and how they speak and how they communicate. But that's why we take DISC assessments. That's why we have different, people have to test out their love languages. You know what I'm saying? You have to kind of know how to work with different people and give people grace. A lot of times people don't want to do that. Collaboration is sometimes you might not get what you want. You might have to do something different. And a lot of times it's egos and things in the way. But once you put the ego aside and you come together with other like-minded people, the sky is the limit. And so that's why for me, I've always learned to give people grace because I need grace. God gives me grace. I have bad days sometimes. And you might work with somebody, they might have an attitude. And before I snap back or, go there, I always say like, hey, you okay today? And you always see that it's something bigger than you. So I think I think that's number one. Number one is make sure you're aligned with your goals and y'all have mutual purpose. And then the second part is give people grace. And then the third part is, forward movement. We collaborated because we all want to be successful. So it's no reason to be negative,
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of alignment, what role does alignment, values, faith, and vision play in choosing the right collaborators? And also, I want to say, I just love where you're going with all of this. I just wanted to insert that, but continue, please.
Thank you. And the question was, what role does faith and alignment play?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's everything to me. You know what I'm saying? People will be like, I'm a believer. At the end of the day, I'm unapologetically a Christian. I believe in God, Jesus, all that. But at the same time, I also am a realist. And not everybody might not be a believer, but there is a thing. Anytime you put work into anything, energy into anything, is going to come to pass. So even if you like, well, Tiara, I'm not spiritual, I'm not doing all those things. But if you work out, if you want to do something or if you want to accomplish something, you have to put in the work. That's the bottom line. Whether you pray, whether you don't pray, if you're not going to do the work, it's not going to happen. It's the momentum and acceleration of you going after whatever you want to do. But for me, faith is important because the level and things that I aspire to go to, like I know that I didn't break through those rooms or dimensions without my prayer life and without me trusting God, because there is no way that I could have did the things that I have done today. And also, my parents were first generation college students, master degrees, doctorates. School was not really my thing, but I did get my bachelor's degree. So I'm the first generation entrepreneur. So I feel like it's my right to keep going and to keep being successful as well too. So just how I was raised, and I just want to make my parents proud, and just, building on the generational things to come is like what keeps me focused. Because I'm like, if I can break through this, if they break through that, I broke through this, like what is the next generation after me going to break through? So it definitely plays a big role in who I am.
What's a prayer that you pray for your business, if you don't mind sharing that with us today?
I got one I pray every day. It's long, but I'm gonna keep it short for you. So the prayer that I pray every day is, God, whatever you will have me to do today, or whatever I will move in my business, let it align with your will for my life, but also bless me so that I can increase in my day. And I always pray Luke 1:37, for nothing is impossible with God. It's one of my favorite scriptures because God is saying nothing is impossible. So that's what actually made me successful, because God said I could do anything. So that's the prayer and what I speak over myself and my business and my team every day.
Let's talk a little about business and legacy. And also, thank you for that prayer, by the way. Yes. You've moved from solopreneur to legacy builder. What's the biggest mindset change that had to happen for that transition?
I had to just realize I wasn't for everybody. A lot of times people chase trends, and I realized I'm not a trendy person. Social media is cool. I'm good at it. I can do it. You know what I mean? Like, it happens, but social interactions, really giving back to people, really having impact, like that's big to me. And so that comes with legacy building. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't know what's coming next. You know, when .com happened, cell phones, pagers, the internet, like we don't know what's coming next. There's going to always be something trending. Should you be abreast? Should you know what's going on? Yes. But my thing is, how does your brand and business sustain when you're no longer here? Or how, you know what I'm saying? Because we can do a lot of things, but are we going to be Nike? Are we going to be Amazon? Jeff Bezos said he wanted to sell everything from A to Z. I'm pretty sure that when he moves on, Amazon will still be here. I think also as Black business owners, sometimes we think about the now and not the future and not the sustainability. And so that's why I was like, hey, we don't chase trends, we build legacy, because we want your business and brand to be here for generations to come. Like I have clients working on holograms. You know what I'm saying? So when they pass away, their teachings and lecturings can still be going on, or protecting your intellectual property, having a digital hub, having a book, like, you know what I'm saying? Teaching and talking and lectures and having your videos out there in libraries, like thought leaders and visionaries. And that's my niche. And so I'm aware of that. It took me a minute to understand it, but I was like, you know what? Let me just embrace it. That's just what we do.
How can entrepreneurs build businesses that grow without burning them out?
Health is wealth. You know what I'm saying? Like outside of prayer, and it's also working out, eating right. Even for me, I'd be like, all right, Tiara, you got to get up. You know what I'm saying? And then starting your day with intention. So like perfect example, yesterday, I was supposed to be up at 6. I slept in till 7 and my day started late and it caused some things to go wrong. But I was like, no, today I got to get up at 6 because I had to do this. I had to wash some dishes. So like starting your day with intention, and then also giving yourself this, going back to realistic action steps. So I'm like, okay, today I have to do this, this, and this, and this. I got to get those things done. If I don't get it done, I see what I can do, and I, have realistic expectations. And then also, you got to have an outlet. For me, I would just spend a day watching a show. Like I watched all 11 seasons of The Walking Dead over a year time, because that was my outlet. Like a lot of people like, Sierra, you work all the time. Like, when do you take a break? Oh, I get my rest. Trust me.
Now, we've already talked about your faith and your alignment and collaborations and things like that. But can you tell us how you help leaders merge faith and strategy without feeling conflicted or guilty about growth?
Right. So honestly, it's crazy you asked me that, because I have a lot of CEOs and people around me that's just around me. They're like, oh, Sierra, like I went back to church because of you, or I pray more because of you. Honestly, I feel like I don't really have a blueprint for how I help people. I just operate in who I am and whose I am. And I think naturally people are catch on to that because they hang around me. So I don't necessarily have like a thing to make people believe. I just live the lifestyle of that. And then when people come to me, I just tell them, what I do, and I think they catch on to it.
I love that. Now, I took a few notes here, and some things that I heard were now, future, and sustainability. I'm also hearing you say you operate in who you are and whose you are. Also reaffirming your faith, I believe. This has been a wonderful discussion with you, Tiara. For someone who is maybe they're in their bed, needing to get up, watching this video, and they just can't pull themselves through, what would you say to them right now, the solopreneur?
You just gotta take a deep breath. That's step one, because I've been there before when I had a client and I feel like, oh, my rent, my bills, everything, like, God, you told me to do this. This lady is tripping. Like, I put everything into this. What am I gonna do? And then I remember laying in the bed one time, like a couple of years ago, and God was like, call this person or do this. Oftentimes when we laying in the bed or in that depressed state or whatever's going on with us, we be like, what is the way out? But that is when you rise in your faith. And it sounds so hard, but I was literally laying there like, God, I don't have nothing else. Like, if you want this to work for me, it got to move today. And my mama always tell me, like, you got to put a demand on who God wants you to be and what He's promised you. And so I live on that. I'm like, okay, God, you told me you wanted me to do this business. You know what I'm saying? Like, you told me to make this moves. Like, I also recognize and repent, like, oh, did I do something? What did I do? Check myself. And I'm like, God, you got to move today. It got to happen today. What do you want me to do? He put an idea in my head. I called that person and I got the contract. And so sometimes when you laying there in your season of stillness, or you sitting there, you thinking it's end all be all, or like God forgot about me. But what I learned, that every time you go through something that's chaotic or doesn't feel good, doesn't mean that God forgot about you. He just wants to know how hard you're going to trust Him. And so that doesn't mean for you to give up. It just means for you to rise up and be like, hey, this is what God called me to do. I'm gonna do this. And I'm saying this because it's like, oh, Tiara, you making it sound so easy. No, I'm not. I done got up and cried out with tears in my eyes and hurt and abandoned, and still set up events and still did what I had to do, because at the end of the day, like, I'm operating in my human side. Of course, I'm going to be burdened. But when I operate in my spiritual side and who God was like, hey, this is who you are, then of course I got to keep getting up. But it's not easy. It don't feel good. You're going to want to cry. You know, like, I'm not here to say it's going to be jolly and roses. Even when you get up and get that contract, it's still going to be the residue of how bad it hurt or whatever you're going through. But you just got to choose you.
Really appreciate you for spending time with me this morning. If you could give us 3 words, you have 2. You're the CEO of TLJ Agency and founder of Execution Nation. Give me 3 words to first describe TLJ Agency.
3 words. I would say ideation, execution, and sustainability.
And who is this agency for?
This agency is for the visionary, thought leader, career professional, or enterprise that's ready to take their divine purpose and turn it into brand brilliance through product development, content creation, event activations, and also collaborations and partnerships.
Lovely, lovely. Now you're also the founder of Execution Nation. Give me 3 words to describe Execution Nation.
Execution Nation is momentum, thrusting, and acceleration.
And who is this company for?
Execution Nation is for the person with just an idea, just somebody that's like, okay, Tiara, I just got to get started. I'm not at the time. I'm not ready to be a client. I don't have that enterprise level, but I just need to be affirmed. I just need to be pushed. I just need to get my to-do list and my items together. And so Execution Nation is my community for that everyday person that's just like, I just want to get started and stop procrastinating.
Tiara, I really appreciate you for spending time with me this morning. Is there anything you want to share with us as far as events that you have coming up that we need to know about? Put on our calendar today so we can be in attendance.
Yes, so Women Making History 2026 is coming up this year. I did a lot. We did a lot. We're going to 5 different cities: Raleigh, Baltimore, Atlanta, Houston, and Dallas. And we're just celebrating women for history in real time. So if you're a woman in business or a man in business who knows a woman doing great, we're looking for speakers, honorees, and partners at this moment. So we're dropping that flyer this week, and I'm super excited about that.
Love that. I love that. And one more time, Tiara Johnson, please tell us how we can get in touch with you.
Yes, you can get in touch with me at the Tiara LaRae on Instagram. If you're looking to partner with somebody to build your legacy brand, it's www.tljagency.com. You can join my school community, Execution Nation. And I'm always available somewhere.
Thank you so much for being with me here today on Amplify with Amanda Sapp. Really appreciate you, your time, and all that you're putting out into the world. God bless and peace to you, Tiara.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.